Welcome to the City Council meeting. The mayor is representing the city of Cartersville, and so I will be presiding tonight. We wish him well. And Sam, we missed you this last week, and glad you're home.
Well, I missed you too. I appreciate the
We
time.
certainly thought about you.
Thank you.
Tonight, Lindsay McDaniel's going to have our invocation, and Jace will do our Pledge of Allegiance. If you will stand, please.
It is just to do a silent prayer, pray any subject that you wish to. Amen.
Do you want me to pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Keeling, will you call the roll, please?
Carrie Hodge, Ward 1. Here. Jay Stepp, Ward 2.
Here.
Lewis Tonsmeyer, Ward 3.
Here.
Lindsay McDaniel, Ward 4.
Yes.
Diane Tate, Ward 5.
Here.
Lori Pruitt, Ward 6.
Calm down.
All righty. Thank you, ma'am. You've had the council minutes from the last meeting. I hope you've had a chance to look over them, and I will wait for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. First on the agenda tonight, we have a couple of second readings of ordinances. The first is an amendment to the budget ordinance for the fiscal year 2013-2014. Mr. Reinhardt.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem and Council, this is the second reading of this amendment to the ordinance. No changes have been made since the first reading. This is simply after the fiscal year 2014 was closed. It's an amendment to amend the budget to bring it back into GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. As I said, there have been no changes since the first reading.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Reinhardt? If not, I'll accept a motion or...
Motion to approve.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second reading, the second reading tonight, Mr. Jones, amendment to the capacity fee ordinance.
Good evening, everyone. There have been no changes to the amendment since the first reading, and essentially what we're seeking to do here is clarify how capacity fees are calculated for purposes of development. This has been done by policy in the department in the past, and we have had some requests for clarification that we thought merited being added to the ordinance. Those have been incorporated here, and we would ask your approval.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. We have a contract tonight, a potential contract tonight for a traffic signal for Main Street at, oh, I'm sorry. I have another change order. Excuse me, Dan. Excuse me. Dothert Ferry widening project.
No. We're on the
Tennessee Street, water main.
Bob, sorry.
Sure.
You could have stayed right there.
Maybe this will help. We're asking your approval for a change order to the Tennessee Street contract with Site Engineering. This will be a reduction of $122,392.99 to the original contract price. That will bring the final contract amount to just a tad over $2.8 million. We would seek your approval of that change.
like most, this is a reduction.
It is a reduction.
Good.
Thank you, Bob. We appreciate reductions.
We'll
in the
try to bring
final
them to
order.
you as much as we can.
Any questions of Mr. Jones?
I'll make a motion to approve that one.
Thank you, Jones.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dan. Sorry for the jumping up and down.
That's all right, Mayor. The item we have is Dothan Ferry Road Widening Project. We've got engineering services been under contract for a few years. What we have is a change order for some additional work that's been required from GDOT. We've had several meetings with them over the past several months, requiring some change in the scope of the project a little bit. They've decided on the west alternative with design variance, which will require some additional engineering work. Carl Lugins from Southland Engineering is here if you have any particular questions. But the change order that's presented is a total for $83,166. The overall project that we have under contract is $856,786. This is out of the 2003 SPLOST funds. The change order in question is a little bit over 9.7% of the original contract amount, but request approval of that.
Any questions of Mr. Porter? We discussed this in work session, Dan, and some of the things listed here have been completed and some are to be completed.
That's correct.
And the cost we're looking at tonight are things that still need to be completed based on GDOT, or based on a lot of things.
Well, it's based on some meetings with GDOT. GDOT over the past year and a half that Mr. Lugin and his firm been working with, they've changed some project scope designs and that, and he's worked on that to keep the project moving forward, to answer their questions, and that's required some additional work under items under Part of item under Part A of the project presented to you at $52,306. There's some additional items under Part B for some latest work for the design variance on the west alternative being the selected route at this point in time. That would be $30,860, totaling $83,166 at this point in time.
We just make one motion to include both of those.
That is correct. Sure.
This is a 4-lane
That's correct.
with a bicycle path, sidewalks on both sides.
Yes.
Motion to approve?
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Dan. Traffic signal documents, Tommy Sanders.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. We are requesting your permission for the mayor to sign 2 documents related to a signal request. R.H. Ledbetter had submitted a signal permit to GDOT for a signal at Main Street and the Kroger development. This intersection will be across from Coles. It'll be directly across from the existing Coles driveway. And these 2 documents are the communication service agreement and a request for a traffic signal. These are just standard documents to show that we will support the paying for the power for the signal and any necessary communications such as fiber. And both of those are already on this corridor, so we request your approval.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Is my understanding we're gonna have more than one signal light that, what is in the proposal, I think, from Main Street? One in particular would be, in front of the Coles location, and where was the other?
It would be in front of Publix, there between Red Lobster and Starbucks, and Publix has requested a signal for that location, and Ledbetter has requested a signal at this location across from Coles, and the Publix leases from Ledbetter, and then Ledbetter is also developing the Kroger. So it's an interesting. I think there's a competition to see maybe who gets the red light first.
Any other questions, Mr. Sanders? Do I have a motion?
Motion for approval?
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Next is at the Crime View. Sam, I've lost my place. Is that
Crime
right?
mapping.
Yes, crime mapping. Lieutenant Camp, is he here?
You took off. Okay, this is crime mapping software used for the police department, and it's due for renewal at a cost of $7,200, and the E-Verify and Save documents are on file. and it's recommended for your approval.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of Mr. Grove? This is simply an annual subscription that we renew
Right.
yearly.
It's a renewal,
Yes, sir.
it's over $5,000, so that's why it's come to council.
Thank you. Any motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Development Agreement, Ledbetter Properties. Mr. Jones? And I think you have the next one coming up.
I do.
Thank you.
This was a development agreement between the city and Ledbetter Properties. As you know, they are proposing the Kroger development on East Main Street. As a part of that development, they are proposing to put about 20 feet of fill over an existing 36-inch water main in that location. That is just an amount of fill that we can't live with. So we have asked them to enter into an agreement with us to cover the cost of engineering for protection and relocation of that line so that the development can move forward as planned. This would essentially protect our existing facility and would result in no cost to the city.
Bob, is that much fill, is that more a maintenance problem, or does that actually crush a line?
Both.
It's both.
That pipe would not stand up to the weight of that overburden. Usually what it does is it deforms the pipe and mashes it out of round, and then it begins to leak, or it just structurally fails. And the other issue would be that we would not be able to, we including our contractors, would not be able to reasonably dig to that depth in order to maintain it. We would take out entire parking lots and buildings trying to dig to that depth.
Any other questions of Mr. Jones? Are we ready for a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Bob. Next, I think you have that too, Bob.
Yes, this is related. The same development, the same issue with the 36-inch water line. We sought proposal from Schweitzer Engineering to design protective measures for that line and the relocation of the line as the development is proposed. That price came back at $37,500. That amount was agreed to by Ledbetter Properties as reasonable and would be fully reimbursed per the previous agreement, thus costing the city nothing in order to facilitate this development.
So we actually pay it, and then we are reimbursed by the developer.
That's correct. We would contract with Schweitzer to do the work, and then we would be reimbursed.
Any questions of Mr. Jones?
Ready for a motion?
Yes, sir, I am.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Bob. Mr. Anderson, our Senior Aquatic Center.
Yes, Ms. Mayor Pro Tem. This is a replacement for our senior ADA aquatic chairlift for the Senior Aquatic Center. The last one, well, this one was originally installed, and when it was first opened in December of '06, we received 3 quotes, and I'm recommending the best quote, which is from Lincoln Aquatics, in the amount of $6,570, and it includes an extra battery, which the others did not include.
We opened when, Greg?
We had our grand opening in December of 2006.
So is that about the life of a lift like
Well,
that?
I can't answer that because this is our first one, but the conditions that is in, the chemicals and chlorine, I'm really surprised it lasted this long, because about the last 2 years it's looked pretty bad, and but it is used. It's used 4 or 5 times a week with people that need to access the pool.
Get everything opened back up out there? I know this is a sidebar.
Yes, sir. Everything's been opened and cleaned and disinfected, and we're ready. We opened at 4 o'clock today.
Any other questions of Greg? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Greg. Mr. Sanders, Irwin Chase Culvert Replacement Project.
Yes, ma'am. This is a project we've been looking forward to doing for some time. Southland also designed this project for us. We opened bids on October 3rd, and we had 6 bidders. The bids ranged from $347,192.89 to $651.35. The low bidder was C.H. Kirkpatrick and Sons Welding Service Incorporated, and we recommend approval of the low bidder.
Any questions, Mr. Sanders? Tommy, I had one. I tried to look, there were so many line items in each bid. Did you look over them carefully, because this bid was really spread out?
Yes, ma'am. We, Southland reviewed them and had some comments for us, and we also reviewed it. And it's a, we feel like it's a good bid. The contractor's looking forward to doing the job. He, even though he left $94,000 on the table, he says he can still do the job and make money. So it's a win-win, good price for the city, and he can make money too. So, this project is increasing the drainage capacity through the Irwin Chase Apartments and across South Irwin Street, so to relieve the flash flooding in Irwin Downs. So hopefully, once we get this project in, those folks in that subdivision will see some relief when we have those flash floods.
Thank you. Any more questions? Do I have a motion?
Move that we accept the bid from C.H. Kirkpatrick.
Thank you. Second?
Yes, I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is a project we've been looking forward to. Mr. Porter?
Yes, Mayor. We have 3 Chevy Chevrolets that the police department seized through their drug enforcement agency, and request approval to purchase each one of those for $1,000 each for our city garage, for garage maintenance. Our staff, city staff, use those vehicles when they bring a vehicle in, or if their employee goes out of town for training. The vehicles that we have are Ford Crown Victorias, old police cars that are needing replacement. So request approval to reimburse the DEA funds $3,000 for those 3 vehicles.
Any questions, Mr. Porter?
Offer a motion
Thank
to
you.
approve.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Dan. And last tonight, we have Mr. Reinhardt going over our monthly financial statement.
Honorable Mayor and Pro Tem and Council, we'll be looking tonight at the August 2014 and comparing to August 2013. Excuse me. In the general fund, revenues have increased from last year by $409,000. Expenses have also increased by $139,000. This is due to mainly to increased operating expenses. And the 3 areas of revenues that I monitor on a monthly basis are local option sales tax. You can see that we've got an increase there by $84,000. Police fines and forfeitures have an increase of roughly $19,000. And building permits and inspection fees, an increase of $8,000. In the water and sewer fund, revenues increased over last year by $315,000. Expenses decreased by $64,000, and this is due mainly to decreased operating expenses and decreased debt expenses. In the gas fund, revenues increased by $98,000. Expenses have increased by $524,000. This is due to increased operating expenses, increased cost of purchased gas, and increased capital expenses. In the electric fund, revenues increased from over last year by $559,000. Expenses increased by $466,000. This is due to increased operating expenses and increased cost of electricity. Stormwater fund, revenues increased from last year by $5,000. Expenses decreased by $43,000. This is due to decreased capital expenses. And in the solid waste fund, revenues increased from last year by $6,000, while expenses decreased by $21,000. This is due mainly to decreased personnel expenses. And finally, in the fiber optics fund, revenues decreased from last year by $13,000. Expenses have decreased by $6,000. This is due mainly to decreased operating expenses. And that is my report for the evening.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions of Mr. Reinhardt?
Just a note, I had a discussion with Tom a little bit earlier, and we did front end a little bit more of that bond money on the water and sewer projects in August, so the unrestricted cash that you've got as an attachment to this is probably understated about $250,000.
Yes.
So probably is more 8.2, 8.3 as opposed to 7.9 million.
Tom, Mr. Grove and I were talking as you were giving out some of this, and there's some real encouraging signs in
Yes.
here, and that
We
makes
sure
us
have.
all feel a little bit better.
Just to let you know too, we got, and I think yesterday or Tuesday, we got some, like $1,066,000 for insurance tax premiums. That's gone up considerably. I had budgeted $140,000 roughly, so that's also encouraging. So
Good.
things look like they are turning around.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We were very fortunate this last week that we did not have any storm damage, and Chief, you and I certainly talked about that on Monday night, and we're very grateful, weren't we, on Tuesday morning? Yes. Is there anything else to come before City Council tonight? Greg?
Yes, Greg.
He's Greg now.
Yes, ma'am, I just would like to invite the public and then remind City Council, I sent invitations out last week in our canoe kayak launch at Leak Mounds. We're having our dedication and ribbon cutting next Thursday, October the 23rd at 5 o'clock, and make sure all would like y'all to be there and like the public to be there. It's a nice facility and will be well used. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. Mr. Grove just reminded me to remind the public, voting is going on right now for the election. And of course, the election is November the 4th. Yes. So you can vote anytime, and we encourage the public, of course, to do that. Don't forget, this weekend we have our big Bluegrass Festival downtown. I think it starts at 11 and goes till 9 o'clock. It will be in Fire Station 1 and all over town, right beside the depot, of course. And I went last year, and it was terrific. It was a lot of fun. So we're expecting even a bigger crowd this year. So be sure and remember the Bluegrass Festival. Also, on Saturday night, the Humane Society will have a benefit at Valley View. So the Humane Society, of course, takes care of our dogs right here and cats in this city. So remember all the things that are going on this weekend in this fine city.
May I say something
Yes, sir.
publicly to Sam, as I've said to you privately? You're so empathetic with all of us, and Carrie, and it's hard to put in words, but we have the same caring and empathy for you and death of your mother. And
Thank you. You said that to me on the phone today, and I certainly appreciate the support, and I appreciate the time off. It was well spent.
good.
She was a good gal.
Gas prices are coming down.
Sir?
There's somebody talking about the important things.
Do I
Can't
have
take
a,
credit for that one though, Lindsay, I'm sorry.
Just a reminder that the voting has moved to the old State Patrol Barracks on Highway 41.
oh, that's right, yeah.
So if you're gonna early vote, you have to go up there until the week before, and then it'll be at the Civic Center.
Okay.
Thank you for the reminder. It is on Joe Frank Harris Parkway at the old Highway Patrol Barracks. Thank you. Appreciate that. Is there anything else tonight? Have a good week, have a good weekend, and
Motion to dismiss.
thank you.
Good.
Good.